Hi, this is Jeff Kober with Disney at Play, and we appreciate you joining us for this special podcast / video with the reopening of Disney Springs. Just like our previous podcast that we did on the opening of City Walk, we thought we would provide you not only an opportunity to hear about what's going on with the new opening or reopening of this retail entertainment complex, but that you'd also have a chance to actually see it live in video. So we're offering both. Make sure you check out our notes page to see the video that's available on our YouTube channel. And in fact, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, you can always enjoy us on this podcast. As we get started talking about Disney Springs, I should mention, first of all, the arrival experience is, well, it has some unique issues with it. One of which is that they are restricting the entrance of the number of guests coming into their parking lot garages. They're also restricting entrance into what were their flatter lots that hugged both sides of Cirque du Soleil. Those are no longer open, and they only really have one entrance into each of the garages. So there may be a little bit of a wait, a little bit of a line trying to get into these spaces. I should also say a little bit before we go into Disney Springs, talk about the actual experience of going through check-in. I didn't take any video of that. I felt that was a little bit in people's personal space because other people are having their fever checked and everything like that. So I didn't record that portion. But let me identify a couple of things. First of all, the fever check was happening just as it did with City Walk, where they're holding up the gun to your head and taking a temperature reading. It's a very simple practice, doesn't take more than a few seconds. I should note, however, first of all, the people who were doing the fever check, that was the interesting thing, because they were all individuals who wore a shirt that said Advent. Advent is for a healthcare system, big popular healthcare system here in the Orlando area. Now, Disney's always had sponsors like General Motors and MetLife and Kodak. However, they've also had some unique sponsors, and Advent has been one of them. They've been actually sponsors in years past of the Run Disney events. Here, they're kind of almost become the sponsor and the authority kind of to that kind of healthcare check that's going on as you enter the park. It was an interesting approach, and I think kind of positive in many ways. Gives them a little bit more authority than just your general cast member taking your temperature. The other thing I'll note about the temperature check is that at one point I had to, after I'd been out in Disney Springs for quite a while in the sun, had to come back to my car temporarily to get something, grabbed it, came back through. I was kind of in a sweat at that point, and that temperature check was too high. And so it took about 3, 4, 5 temperature checks before I finally checked out in that process. That's an interesting thing to note because these temperature checks will apparently be happening at the theme parks. And of course, guests are coming out of their car, air conditioned, but now they're stepping through the parking lot, they're boarding a tram. They might be kind of a little warm by the time they get to that temperature check. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. With all that said, done, it's a very efficient, very courteous process. At this point, we move into Disney Springs. So let's take a look at some video and some of the things that are happening there in this entertainment complex. We're here on Disney's west side of Disney Springs, and it's a great opportunity to give a couple of examples of things going on. First of all, you'll see that some previous retail locations have been closed, and the M&M experience or shop or whatever you want to call it is coming in next to Splitsville. So that's still to come. It's still sitting over at the Florida Mall, but it's in the process of being reopened. You'll see over here some signage, again, maintaining physical distancing, a message that keeps coming through. And then over here, you'll see a Purell station, and it's all standing in front of the NBA experience. And that's kind of interesting because the space is, well, it's currently closed. A lot of spaces are closed right now. But what makes this particular space interesting is that really traffic in and out of this experience, which was a replacement for Disney Quest, did not really ever materialize for this attraction. And so I just wonder if it's going to be able to keep being what it's supposed to be and whether it even reopens at all. It has not made any announcements at this point that I have known. Over here is CityWorks, and poor CityWorks, it actually opened just prior to the pandemic, and they have announced a new menu, haven't announced an opening time yet, though I think it'll be soon. What's interesting here is that between these shrubs, you'll see that there's construction going on in what is the patio area, and that's a little strange because the patio area, well, that was already done prior, so why it's all being dug up, I'm not sure at this point. Then we have here the granddaddy. It's the anchor at the end of Disney Springs, and that is Cirque du Soleil. And you'll see in the distance there is some announcements talking about being Drawn to Life, which is their new show coming. That was in a process of rehearsal and ready to go into almost ready to open up. And yet what has happened in this situation, Cinderella has apparently lost her umbrella over here. What has happened is that they've had to cancel where they're at this point. And it looks like, well, it just looks like it's uncertain as to when that show will really open. I would suggest that probably it will be in the fall, and that they will probably do a major press event in the fall to kind of kick things going. If things go well, they'll want to do something to open up and kick things going. Maybe put in Harmonious as part of it and some other attractions coming to the parks and kind of do some centralized event as a press event. But for right now, there are no announcements of when the Cirque du Soleil show comes in. The only thing I'll also note here is you'll see on each end of this parking lots, and usually these are very open to guests coming in and out, but right now they're controlling the flow of the guests, and that is not possible to come in through these areas, and so that has been closed off. The final thing I'll note is up here in the sky, one of about 5 helicopters I've seen since I've been here, all again checking out what's going on at Disney Springs. We're here in front of the AMC Theater at Disney Springs, and a couple of things to note. First of all, most of the posters in the marquee are left over from films that were showing prior to the closure, but the one that stands out is Mulan on top of the other film posters. That again, still awaiting a re-release date. And of course, AMC and when it opens, it still remains to be seen. Over here, if you take a look, you'll see markings on the ground that indicate where you should stand and gives you an idea of 6 feet apart. It doesn't back out more than a couple, just to give you a taste. In fact, frankly, I think most people will be going toward purchasing their tickets online after things get started. Over here at Splitsville, you'll see that there's a bar here, and it remains to be seen the opening of this particular space and what's going to happen there. Then over here, 2 projects underway. Beatrix is really a kind of a healthy eating restaurant, and it was well under construction, but I don't think it has shown a lot of progress since the pandemic. So I think construction pretty well stopped on that. Also, probably no construction has been continued on the Apple Hills Creamery, and in fact, right before the pandemic, Apple Hills declared or went into bankruptcy proceedings. So it's a question as to timing on this at all and what may actually happen. So a little bit of uncertainty. There's going to be some fences up here for a time to come as we in this area of Disney Springs. All in all, it is a beautiful day here at Disney Springs. A little on the warm side, but it is nice to see this fountain, and it's up against the AMC movie theaters. The last movie it promoted was Pixar's recent film, which has already gone to Disney Plus, and its place is Mulan. You'll see the entrance to the orange garage, and individuals coming off of it slowly. Not a lot of people coming through, but then again, at this time of day, people seldom came in very big numbers first thing in the morning. You'll see some signage right here for health and safety reminders. Wear a face covering, maintain safe physical distancing, wash your hands often. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose, and avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth. Over here, you see the Coca Cola location, which would be a really nice retail operation to have open, but it is not at this time. Planet Hollywood, on the other hand, is open. Not quite yet, but you'll see the physical distancing lining up for it. And it, along with Wolfgang Puck's a little further here, and Chicken Guy, are all open as of today. This location is a great place to get a sense of those retail operations that are third party, that are open or not open. Right now you see a closed sign on Tommy Bahamas. By the way, you'll see that same "sorry, we are closed" sign on all stores that are not open. Disney has a big policy, not creating your own little hand-drawn sign, but to have something professional whenever you have to post a sign, even a short-term sign. Columbia Sportswear doesn't have that sign, so my thinking that opens a little later. But in the meantime, Sugar Boo and Company is currently open. Over here, Johnston and Murphy, it is closed. But right here, it looks like Lucky and Brand. Let's take a look at this. This entrance is closed. So one of the things that they are doing here is that with stores that are big enough, they're trying to create one entrance to come in, one entrance to come out. You'll see that in bigger stores like World of Disney when it opens up later next week. Again, Bear Bradley, people are waiting for that store to open this morning, but Sperry and Lilly Pulitzer both have "sorry, we are closed" signs. And over here, American Threads is open. Right there, we have some Disney cast members who are coming in from different locations to help support the guest experience here and to try to make everybody welcome and to try to encourage compliance and doing the right thing while you are here. Here's a little corner of Disney Springs. Actually, it's a main thoroughfare for guests coming in from the resorts and buses. I just want to show you that this is also the restrooms. And again, for your safety, stand behind this line. So they're kind of controlling the amount of traffic coming in and out of these. Also, a lot more cast members making sure that those facilities are clean. And then you'll see the barricades here in front of, again, these areas that are largely focused on providing bus service, retail experience, not retail experience, but bus services to and from the resorts, because the resorts aren't open. None of this is open at this time. It's all been closed off. There are only select locations you can enter and exit to get into work. The Welcome Center is, of course, open for business, and cast members are standing outside ready to help any guests needed. Down the way, by the way, is Blaze Pizza. That is opened up. Over here is Frontera Cochina, which I think is really great Mexican food, and it is open up for business. Then I want to come back around here. You may remember that one of the cute little, clever little props they've kind of added to Disney Springs, and part of the whole Springs. Remember, these springs flow out. There's this one location where kids often come to crank the wheel and to kind of pump up the water up to the top. That wheel is still accessible, but it does not crank the water. They're not encouraging you to actually utilize this because they don't want to spread the germs from one individual to another. So that is one of the areas that has been cut off for the time being, is not being used. Here we are, we have Walt Disney World's ambassadors greeting guests as they're coming in, as well as talking to the cast members that are here. We also have Ron John's shop behind that opened up for business. That's going on. And then beyond our Disney World cast members, we have the Lime Garage, where guests are coming to and from. This is one of the limited entrances available for guests to come in and out of. And then finally, one of the probably most anticipated, I think there are a couple of guests waiting there to go into the Polite Pig and to pick up some good barbecue. Notice how the tables have actually been spaced apart at least 6 feet. If you recall, it seems to me that there was a railing in this area, and it was actually, that railing was pushed further back to the veranda area. They've simply allowed the restaurants to push their tables a little further out so as to be to provide more guest experience to those wanting to come to the restaurant. Beyond, you see the World of Disney, and that store is not opening up until next week. And there will be entrances going out in and exits going out. Volcom over here, meanwhile, is open for business and welcoming back guests into their retail environment. Again, traffic picking up a little bit. I think people are excited to be back here at Disney Springs, and I do not see a close sign for Uniqlo, so I think it's a matter of timing as to when they open here at Disney Springs. Nowhere has examples been made more prominent of how they are going to handle the number of guests coming in and out of World of Disney than these signs here on the ground. Those areas mark off spaces that you should not be standing on, and so as to allow people to space out. They're going to maintain a limit on the number of guests coming in and out of the store when it reopens next week. And as we turn the corner, you can see that there is a good wait over here at Starbucks. The other Starbucks wasn't open near AMC, but this one, as a counter service, is open. I believe there's some construction that's going to happen real soon on that larger Starbucks that had been planned in advance, and maybe that's why that is closed right now. But this one, as a retail space, you see the signs on the ground, people waiting for their opportunity to pick up their beverages and snacks. All that is in order. And over here on the other side, you'll see Joffrey's also open for business as well, as an alternative for guests wanting to come. Not sure that there's going to be a lot of entertainment here on the stage while we're in this transition process. I'm sure a lot of schools that we're coming to visit have all canceled their trips, and so don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. But you do get a sense of the whole breadth and depth of what is opening and what has yet to open here at Disney Springs. There are really a lot of little attractions and experiences that are questionable as to the timing of their reopening. Take this little train, it's been here for a long time, it and the carousel. How soon it will probably reopen remains to be largely seen. Over here, the toy store that is available here, Once Upon a Toy, That will probably open up within a week or two, so that won't be very long. And over here, Earl of Sandwich, well, that's opened up today. But then you take something like pin trading. How soon is the pin trading store? Well, they do have markers on the floor, but you know, the whole thing of people touching pins and so forth, that's going to be a big issue, is how often people are touching merchandise. That Disney's really encouraging you not to do a whole lot of that. Over here's an entrance from Lake Buena Vista into the Lake Buena Vista hotel area into the park. But you see a couple of things happening in front of it. First of all, there was a whole set of little fountains. Those are probably not going to open up for a long time to come. As is the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique behind it. Probably not going to open up. And the Void, this is probably not a great moment for the Void because it's such a hands-on, you're wearing these masks. I mean, they can be clean, but getting people to buy into that concept, you could do deep cleaning with a virtual reality experience like that. But again, getting people to buy into it and thinking that's a sanitary thing, that's kind of hard moving forward. So you can see a little Christmas reminder. The space adjacent is used for the tree exhibits that decorate different Disney film classics. It is questionable whether or not they will even be reopening this year come the holidays. Meanwhile, over here in this very, very quiet corner, you see some workers getting things cleaned and prepped and ready. A lot of sanitation going on. The little fountains right here, they're a minor little fountain set for toddlers, but they are not open. Again, it's a sanitary thing. And then over here you see security standing by some barricades to really as a walkway from Saratoga Springs and to the boats that take you on to other Disney resorts nearby. All of that is not open, and it's uncertain when it will. As you can see, guests are lined up here at Wine Bar George, and just beyond that, they're here lined up for the boathouse, which includes the amphicars. They're actually going to be open as well as business returns to the area. The only thing that's not going to be open in this little corner is you see this wonderful little space for entertainment. At this point, it appears you can even see couches around the stage area. Entertainment is not going to be an offering because they don't want all the guests clustered and close together watching the shows. So that is not going to be happening for a while to come. My favorite restaurant is Chef Art Smith's Homecoming. I love the cuisine here at this restaurant, but they haven't made any announcement as to when they would reopen. And now we kind of get an idea as to why that might be. It appears that there are some construction walls going on right here. And with those construction walls, it looks like they are getting ready to add on an outdoor patio area for what they call a shine bar and social. Here's an image of that exterior spot. Then as I back up a little further, you can actually see the construction. My guess is that they are going to wait to finish the construction before they reopen, which is a bummer because I think a lot of people are ready to come and enjoy this location. It's a great place to eat, and a lot of people enjoy it. Without a reservation system, you get an idea very quickly about how popular some eateries are compared to others. In this case, we're here at Chicken Guy, and the line is waiting here. There's theoretically 6 feet apart, and then it kind of goes back into that alcove and then comes back around to the front, and yeah, clearly very popular as it awaits opening this morning. I should let you know that at this point I'm passing by Planet Hollywood and heading back up into the Orange Garage. That's about the time I realized that I was nearby in the company of a certain Josh D'Amaro, who, well, 6 months ago he was president of the Disneyland Resort. A week ago, he was president of the Walt Disney World Resort. And as of just a couple of days ago, he became the chairman of all Disney attractions worldwide, plus consumer goods. So, guess what happened? I had a unique opportunity to have a quick chat with Josh. And that experience, that video, we're going to share with you on our next podcast. It's a great opportunity to talk about the changes that have gone on in the leadership here at Walt Disney World at a time where it's not easy to run a theme park, or even open one for that matter. So be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube videos. We have so much to share with you in the days to come. You're not going to want to miss anything. We thank you for joining us. As always, in the words of Sinbad's storybook voyage, always follow the compass of your heart. Have a great day. See you real soon.